Greetings, I'm Zachary Hepner. I'm pleased to share this Dvar Torah with you for Parashat Bereshit. Adam 1, Adam 2 is a philosophical model composed by Rabbi Soloveitchik in his Lonely Man of Faith as a response to classical biblical criticism that had been a gray cloud hovering over Judaism for over a century. In a nutshell, historical biblical criticism jumps on any inconsistency or repetition or contradiction or literary incongruity or even any subjective problem with biblical texts and resolves the problem as traditions from different authors. Traditional Judaism maintains that a divine author is capable of transmitting polysemous messages even in the context of unevenly woven texts that may provide even more symbolism to and depth to already meaningful texts. As God is described in the high holiday piyut, Shehu Kol Ya'chol, that God can accomplish anything, including multiple layers of symbolism and meaning. Netziv teaches that the Bible is a Shira, poetry, not prose. Poetry has many layers of interpretation and meaning. Early Bible critics had read Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 as two seemingly unconnected Adam narratives, and concluded that there were two separate Adam stories that were recorded by editors. Rabbi Soloveitchik's tour de force unapologetically separates Primordial Adam into Adam 1 from chapter 1 and Adam 2 from chapter 2. The Adams are a symbol of different and possibly opposing divine imperatives. Adam 1 is charged with creating, conquering, growing. Adam 2 is charged with maintaining and guarding the already created garden, that is, paradise. Adam 1 is the engineer, businessman, investor, scientist, general, and builder. Adam 2 recognizes beauty and wants to keep it beautiful. He is the guardian, the ambassador, the spokesperson of the garden. Decades after The Lonely Man of Faith had been published, the Adam 1, Adam 2 model had taken a life of its own, far beyond anything Rabbi Soloveichik had himself penned. Jewish, Gentile, polemical, and whimsical, and political writers had taken the Adam 1, 2 models and ran with it. Perhaps that is a testament to how meaningful the dichotomy is to us in our modern day. To myself, I had always felt that Adam 2 represents an implicit Jewish value of environmentalism. Introducing a new Jewish value is problematic, dangerous, and often specious. Jewish values are eternal, and introducing a new one is often another way of introducing an external value hidden in lambskin. In fact, the harder one tries to demonstrate that an unrecognized value has always been around, itself supports that the value is a new and possibly external value. Without too much elaboration, that is one of the many flawed facets of the Tikkun Olam movements that use Tikkun Olam as part of their mission. Perhaps environmental values are not new, but a subset of already existing values that had not been emphasized. Regarding environmentalism in the consciousness in the United States, one should be careful in assuming people's intentions with respect to environmentalism. Teddy Roosevelt, who is the president who established the national park system, established the parks to conserve forests for continued use. That is a utilitarian consideration and not necessarily the same thing as protecting a paradise because the paradise is itself worthy of protection. The rise of environmental protection policies in the United States federal legal system became recognized in the 1960s when environmentalists suggested that, quote, many environmentalists suggested that the government had a moral obligation to protect the Earth's fragile ecosystems, even if doing so required some economic growth to be sacrificed. Early laws were the 1963 Clean Air Act and the 1970 creation of the EPA Environmental Protection Agency, though the goal of the EPA was about protecting human health and the environment through enforcement. What can seem like a lovely idea can, under certain circumstances, sound like a dystopian society. What is protection? What is human health? What does the environment mean? these can be subjective and up to the whims of different philosophies. With Malthus's exponential curve on population growth, in contrast to available resources, the value of protecting human health can become a very immoral procedure. I would like to reread a very early text from our founding fathers, one that is overlooked even by constitutional scholars, the very short preamble to the United States Constitution. Quote, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." End quote. To me, the key word that resonates with environmental values is posterity. The laws, rights, and procedures of the federal government are in order to promote the general welfare and blessings of liberty for posterity. This establishes the right of posterity against shorter gains of ourselves. In other words, every blade of grass to cut to become a parking lot, and every efficient but less environmental action done by us or ourselves may be challenged by the defenders of the future, us or our posterity. What Adam 1 and Adam 2 symbolizes, according to Rabbi Soloveitchik, is explicit in his book. What they mean to us might be entirely subjective. Whether Adam 2 extending is promoting our environmental values could be a stretch and itself subjective. Whether my exegetical reading of the preamble of the Constitution supports nascent protections to our environment to be sustained for posterity is also a subjective reading. I'm unable to definitively prove using any Jewish source that environmentalism is a Jewish value, so I'll end with a possibly apocryphal story about Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, who, in his old age, announced that he planned to visit the Swiss Alps. His reasoning was, "When I stand before the Almighty, I don't want him to ask me, 'Shimshon, why didn't you visit my Alps?'" Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.